Have you ever wondered why you keep ending up in the friend zone, even though you're doing everything right? Here's the truth that might sting a little. You might be the one putting yourself there. Today we're going to dive into the behaviors that are secretly killing attraction, and I promise they're not what you think. But more importantly, I'll show you exactly how to fix them. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Being too nice isn't actually as attractive as you think. Think about it. There's a huge difference between genuine kindness and constantly trying to please others. One comes from a place of strength, the other from fear of rejection. When you're always agreeable, you might gain sympathy points, but you're actually losing something much more valuable: respect and intrigue. The worst part? While you think you're building attraction, you're actually creating the perfect foundation for, you guessed it, friendship. But don't worry, I'm about to show you how to flip this script completely. Now this is where things get really interesting. The difference between being nice and being authentic is actually the key to breaking free from the friend zone. Let's break down what's really happening when you're stuck in nice mode versus when you're being genuinely authentic. When you're just being nice, you're probably saying yes to everything, even when you want to say no. It's like ordering food you don't like just because someone else suggested it. You might catch yourself hiding your true thoughts and feelings, scared that any disagreement could ruin your chances. But here's the thing: this actually makes you less interesting and more predictable. Being the person who's always available, always helping, always putting others first. Sounds good, right? Wrong. It actually signals that you don't value your own time and needs. The scariest part? Most of your decisions come from a place of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of losing the person's interest. And people can sense this, even if they can't put their finger on why something feels off. When you're authentic, you're comfortable saying, "Actually, I'm not free tonight," or "I see it differently." These boundaries aren't walls, they're signs of self-respect that actually draw people closer. Sharing your genuine thoughts, even when they differ, creates real conversation and connection. It's like adding spice to a dish. It makes things more interesting and memorable. You understand that healthy relationships are a dance of giving and receiving. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow, but it's always balanced. Your choices come from a place of inner confidence. Whether someone likes these choices or not becomes secondary to being true to yourself, and paradoxically, this is incredibly attractive. Now that we understand the difference between being nice and being authentic, let's dive into the specific behaviors that are keeping you stuck in the friend zone. First up is being available 24/7, essentially becoming someone's emotional support hotline. While you think you're being dependable, you're actually devaluing your time and attention. Then there's emotional dumping, sharing every thought and feeling too soon, treating them like a therapist instead of a potential partner. This creates emotional intimacy without attraction. The classic move of hiding your romantic intentions under the guise of friendship. Spoiler alert, this rarely ends well and usually leads to frustration and resentment. And the infamous yes person syndrome, agreeing with everything they say and do, effectively becoming a human echo chamber rather than an intriguing individual with their own perspectives. Let's tackle the biggest friend zone trap I see people fall into: being constantly available. You know that feeling when your phone buzzes and you practically dive across the room to respond. Yeah, we need to talk about that. When you're always responding within seconds, you're sending a clear message: I have nothing better to do than wait for your messages. And trust me, that's not the message you want to send. Canceling gym sessions, rescheduling friend meetups, or skipping family time just because they're suddenly free? This isn't dedication. It's devaluing your own life. Without boundaries, you're not just giving away your time, you're giving away your power to intrigue and attract. There's actually fascinating psychology behind why being too available kills attraction. It's human nature. We value what's harder to get. Think about it. Isn't that rare concert ticket somehow more exciting than the one that's easy to get? When you maintain healthy boundaries, people actually respect you more. It shows you value yourself, and that makes others value you too. A little mystery isn't playing games, it's allowing space for curiosity and interest to grow naturally. Here's how to break free from this trap without coming across as distant or uninterested. Start by waiting 30 minutes before responding to non-urgent messages. Then gradually build your response time to a few hours. You'll be amazed at how this small change affects dynamics. Treat your existing plans as non-negotiable. If someone asks to meet last minute, it's okay to say, "I'd love to, but I've got plans. How about next week?" Focus on building a life so engaging that being occasionally unavailable happens naturally. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to get because you're genuinely busy, living your best life. The second behavior that's secretly sabotaging your chances is something I call emotional dumping. Look, I get it. When you feel comfortable with someone, it's tempting to share everything. But telling them about your childhood trauma on the second coffee meetup, that's like trying to run before you can walk. It creates intimacy, sure, but not the kind that sparks attraction. When you turn someone into your unofficial therapist, you're shifting the dynamic from potential partner to emotional caretaker. They might care about you deeply, but it's more likely to be in a protective, friendly way rather than a romantic one. Here's what's actually happening. By creating deep emotional intimacy too quickly, you're bypassing all the exciting stages of getting to know each other. You know, those butterflies in stomach moments where you're still discovering new things about each other. The solution isn't to become emotionally closed off. It's about pacing. Share gradually, keep some mystery alive, and remember, they should be earning your trust and deeper emotions, not getting them all at once, like an emotional data dump. Let's talk about something that might hit close to home, hiding your romantic intentions behind a friendship facade. The classic "let's be friends first, and maybe it'll naturally evolve into something more strategy." Spoiler alert, while this might feel safer, it's actually setting you up for failure. Think about it. You're essentially asking someone to suddenly flip a switch from friend to romantic interest, and that rarely works out the way you hope. I get it. Being upfront about your feelings is scary. There's always that fear of rejection or ruining what you already have. But here's the thing. By hiding your true intentions, you're actually being unfair to both yourself and the other person. You're spending time building anxiety rather than authentic connection. When you hide your intentions, you end up sending mixed signals that confuse everyone involved. One day you're acting like a friend, the next you're dropping subtle hints about romance. It's like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. You're not going anywhere fast. The worst part? You're building up false hope while deepening your own frustration. Every friendly interaction becomes loaded with unspoken expectations, and every casual hangout feels like a missed opportunity. It's exhausting for you and potentially misleading for them. Next up is a behavior that might seem harmless, but is actually killing attraction faster than you realize: being a yes person. Let me paint a familiar picture. They say they love a movie you secretly can't stand, but you find yourself nodding enthusiastically anyway. Or maybe they suggest a restaurant you don't like, but you agree because you don't want to rock the boat. Sound familiar? This pattern of constant agreement might feel safe, but it's actually making you invisible. When you consistently suppress your real opinions, you're not just hiding your thoughts, you're hiding your entire personality. Think about it. Would you want to date someone who never challenges you or brings new perspectives to the table? Probably not. So why would they? Here's what's really happening when you're afraid to disagree. You're telling the other person that your thoughts and preferences don't matter. But healthy attraction isn't built on submission. It's built on the exciting dance of two distinct personalities coming together. The real kicker? By trying to be agreeable all the time, you're actually becoming less authentic and more forgettable. Remember, people are attracted to those who know who they are and aren't afraid to show it. Your different opinions and perspectives aren't flaws to hide. They're features that make you interesting. The final and perhaps most destructive behavior is one that sneaks up on you, neglecting your own life while waiting for romance to happen. Let's be honest about what happens when we're too focused on one person. Those painting classes you loved? Suddenly they're taking too much time. That weekly soccer game with friends. Maybe I should be more available instead. These aren't just activities you're dropping. They're pieces of yourself you're letting go. You find yourself constantly checking your phone, rearranging your schedule at a moment's notice, essentially putting your life on pause while waiting for them to press play. Your life starts feeling like an eternal waiting room, always ready to jump when they call, but never really living in the meantime. The impact goes deeper than you might realize. When someone asks, "What's new with you?" you struggle to answer because everything revolves around this one person. Your personal story starts fading, and with it, your natural magnetism. Each abandoned interest or cancelled plan chips away at your confidence. It's subtle at first, but eventually you feel less like yourself and more like a shadow of who you used to be. The cruel irony? When you do get to spend time with them, you have less and less to bring to the conversation because you're not out there collecting experiences and stories. Here's how to bring back that spark in your life. Start by reconnecting with one old passion this week. Maybe it's that guitar gathering dust, or that half-finished novel idea. The specific activity matters less than the act of reclaiming it. Challenge yourself to try one new thing each month. It could be a cooking class, rock climbing, or learning to code. You're not just building skills, you're building stories and confidence. Most importantly, start finding joy in your own company again. Your happiness shouldn't be a response to someone else's attention. It should be the natural state of living your best life. After all we've discussed today, here's the real truth about attraction that most people miss. It's not about the pursuit, it's about the person you become in the process. This is the fundamental shift that changes everything. When you stop trying to earn attention through people-pleasing behaviors and start focusing on building a life that excites you, something magical happens. You naturally become more attractive because you're living authentically. The friend zone stops being a trap because you're no longer trapping yourself there. You're just being you, and that's exactly who you need to be. Before you go, let's turn everything we've learned into a practical action plan you can start today. No vague advice, just clear, doable steps. First up, implement the 24-hour rule. Wait at least 24 hours before accepting any non-urgent invitations or making yourself available. This isn't about playing games, it's about giving yourself time to check in with your own needs and schedule. Bonus, this naturally creates healthy boundaries and shows you value your time. Next, do what I call the interests inventory. Write down 3 activities you've abandoned or put on hold. Choose one to restart this week. Then add one new interest you've always wanted to explore. This isn't just about hobbies, it's about rebuilding your identity outside of any potential relationship. Here's a big one, the honesty challenge. For the next 7 days, practice expressing your genuine opinions, even on small things like movie preferences or restaurant choices. Start with low-stakes situations and work your way up. Remember, disagreeing respectfully is more attractive than agreeing inauthentically. Finally, maintain what I call the weekly mystery. Each week, have at least one exciting plan or activity that's just for you. Don't share it on social media. Don't immediately tell everyone about it. This isn't about being secretive. It's about developing a rich personal life that's truly yours, not performed for others.